Hello, and welcome to another HeroQuest video. Today I'm going to be painting the goblins from the base game. There's 6 in total, including 2 female goblins. I think I'm going to add a couple of colours to make the females stand out. As you can see, I've primed these guys with white primer, and upon closer inspection I've noticed quite serious mould lines. So rather than just paint them as is, leaving the mould lines, I've decided to scrape the mould lines off with the edge of a blade. And now I'm going to go in with some white paint and touch up the areas that I had to scrape. I'm still not convinced that I got all the mould lines off, but they certainly do look a lot better than they did. Now the Army Painter Speedpaints mega set that I bought came with half a dozen, or slightly more, greens. Now I haven't decided which green I want to use for these goblins, so the first 3 models are going to be slightly experimental. I'm going to use 3 different green tones, not including the orc skin tone that comes with the set. I want to keep it separate for the orcs. I want the orcs and the goblins to look slightly different. So the first colour I'm going to try is algae green. As I said, I'm going to paint 3 different models, 3 different colours, and I'm going to compare and see which I prefer. The next colour up will be Forest Sprite, which again is another green. Stating the obvious, I know. But they are all slightly different tones. You'll see yourself which you prefer. I know which one I prefer in the end. And the third tone up is going to be Ghillie Dew. I've used this colour before when painting some other models. So I've grouped the 3 different models with the colours that I used. Hopefully you can see the differences. I certainly can. They are subtle, and you would get away with using either of these 3 colours, but I definitely have a favourite. The algae green I think is a little too dark for what I want. It is a nice colour, and it would certainly suit goblins, but just not for me. The next colour we're going to look at is Forest Sprite. And again, it's not a bad colour. It would again suit goblins, but I think we can do better. And lastly, up is the Ghillie Dew, and this is the one I prefer. It's the brightest of the 3, and for me it has that yellowy, greeny, goblin-y colour that I picture when I think of fantasy goblins. It's also a 1-coat option. And in my opinion, there's no point using speed paints if you're not going to be speedy. So, with Ghillie Dew chosen as the skin tone for the goblins, it's time to paint all 6 models. I did have to go back over the original 2 that I tried with the other colours. I just coloured them in white again, using the dead white from Vallejo, and then I'm going to go back over them again with the Ghillie Dew. And now I've got the white paint out again, and I'm just trying to touch up some of the areas that I didn't want to hit with the green colour. Because the speed paints are very thin and produce very thin coats, I do like to put them over a base white colour. You could of course slap chop these models, but I've chosen just to stay with the white. I want these guys to be nice and bright looking on the table in the dungeon. And now I'm going to use another colour that I haven't used yet in the Army Painter Speed Paints range that I have, and it's called Fire Drake. And really I'm just trying to add a little bit of different brighter colour to the female goblins. I'm going to put it on one of them because I want them both to look different. Hopefully it's not politically incorrect these days to want your females to look different to your males. I don't want to get into a political debate, that's for certain. This is a YouTube painting video. Next colour up is Age Tide, and I'm using it on the females just to try and add a little bit of colour. Now I do want it to stand out that these are female, so of course I'm going to add pink to one of them. What girl doesn't like pink? I'm sure even a goblin girl likes pink. Now I'm going to block in all of the metalwork, and I'm going to use Broadsword Silver. The metallics, you only get 3 with the mega set, but they're excellent. At least the Hoplite Gold and the Broadsword Silver are, in my opinion, excellent metallic colours. The bronze, me, take it or leave it. But the gold and the Broadsword Silver, excellent. Highly recommend them. Just going through the models one at a time here. Anything that I deem to be metal is getting a coating of this colour. And now I'm going to use a Citadel contrast paint called Snakebite Leather. This actually is a really nice leather effect colour over the top of white. And with me wanting to speed paint these goblins, basically the rest of the clothing and armour on the models is going to be painted this colour. You'll see yourself what you think. I think it turns out quite nice. Again, I don't owe Army Painter anything. And I don't owe Citadel or Games Workshop anything. I'll pick and choose whichever colours I like from their ranges, or from any other range that releases a good quality speed type paint. If you know of any others, let me know. I will stick with what I know though to begin with, and I do know some of the Citadel contrasts, and I do now know some of the Army Painter speed paints, and they do pretty much exactly what they say on the tin. And I realise this is a bit of a rant and a ramble, but use whatever colours you've got. You don't need to go down the contrast or speed paint route. I choose to, basically because I want these done in a hurry. If you've got more time, more patience, you have a great love of painting, then you might be better going down the base colour, layer, highlight route. Now I'm going to use some Reikland Flesh, and I'm not using it to tone down any flesh. I'm using it to tone down the pink and the orangey type colour that I've painted on the female goblins. I just want to tone it down a little bit. It's very bright. And now I'm going to do something that I normally don't do on models these days, and that is paint eyes. I normally avoid painting eyes like the plague, because they can look awful if you don't do a good job. These models have actually got quite big eyes, so they should be reasonably easy to paint. You just want to make sure you've got a very fine detailed brush, and if you have to, thin your paint a wee bit, even with a spot of water, and go over it with white, and then follow it up with whichever eye colour you want to use. I'm going to choose Maize Yellow for my eye colour. It's quite a bright yellow. It's the brightest yellow I've got currently with this Army Painter Speed set of paints anyway. And now I'm going to move on to do the bases. I'm going to use an old foundation grey that I have from Citadel Colour. They don't make it anymore, but this Warp Fiend grey down in the bottom left hand corner looks to me to be reasonably close. If you want to follow my colour scheme exactly, you'll have to try and obtain the grey colour that I've used. Adeptus Battlegrey. You probably won't be able to get it. You might be able to get it from certain online sources such as eBay, but you're probably going to pay quite a lot of money for it. If I was you, I would just use whichever darkish grey you've got in your collection, and if you don't have one, go out and buy a decent grey, because it's a colour you will need and you will use quite regularly. Now next up, I'm going to dot the eyes on the models using a black. Use whichever black you've got. I'm using Vallejo game colour black. It's a nice black, and Vallejo make nice paints, as do Citadel and as do Army Painter. Just use whichever black you've got. I'm avoiding using the Speed Paint Grim Black because it's very translucent and I don't want to have to put too heavy a dot on. A small dot is all you need to create the effect of an eye. And now I'm going to varnish the models. I've let them dry for a couple of hours and I've come back with my Galeria Winsor Newton matte varnish. Again, it's my varnish of choice, and I highly recommend that you varnish all your HeroQuest models, as they're in and out of plastic trays and get used and abused quite a lot, and they will pick up chips and the paint will flake off if you don't varnish them. And there we have it, job done. I think they look pretty good. They certainly look good enough to game with, and in my humble opinion they look a lot better than the green plastic they came as in the base game. I'd like to thank you for watching this far, and I'd like to thank you for watching my content, and hopefully you're getting something from it. If you're new to painting, hopefully I'm providing you with some ideas. If nothing else, I'm hopefully providing you with some inspiration and letting you know that you can do this. You can paint these guys, you can make your game look an awful lot better with a bit of effort, and you don't need to paint them all in one go. Pick one of the models like I have, whether it's a piece of furniture or whether it's the goblins like these guys, and just slowly work your way through them. If it takes you a couple of days to complete, then it takes you a couple of days, it's no big deal. But eventually you'll have a completely painted set, and it's something to be proud of, and it's something you'll be happy with when you put it down in front of your friends or family for a game. Anyway, I'm rambling on again. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and have a great day. Thank you for watching.